getting clear on the Christmas message, and then secondly, a look to the creche. So first, getting clear on the Christmas message. When I was at home last Monday at my parents' house, I was in the living room with two of my younger nephews, and we were watching The Grinch. It was the animated kids version. I guess all Grinches are kids versions, but I think it was like 2018, newer version. And there was a scene where the Grinch was walking, through downtown Whoville, and someone out in the distance is saying Merry Christmas, and the Grinch hears it from ways away, and he just puts his head down and he growls at it. And he gets closer to the guy, and the guy says it to the Grinch, and the guy's standing underneath a spot where there's a wreath, and the Grinch, without missing a step, he just walks, pulls down the wreath, clips it onto the guy, lets go of it, and the guy just gets launched in the air, which I probably watched 50 times because that was my nephew's favorite part, just on repeat. And then after that, he's walking past some Christmas carolers. And he hears it, and the Grinch just plugs his ears, puts his head down, shakes his head, and begins and just walks away. But the carolers start to follow the Grinch. And so the Grinch starts to run, shaking his head, growling, and he's running down the bridge and through the town. And ultimately, as the carolers are continuing to follow him while they're singing to him, he ducks away and hides in a dark alleyway. Can we just pause for a minute and honor the Grinch for a second, right? The reality is, some of us here this morning, maybe parts of our lives are on fire, and we're like, the Grinch is my guy. If one more person says Merry Christmas to me, I'll marry their Christmas, right? Even me, leading up to Christmas, getting ready for Christmas, there were parts of my heart, times it's like, you catch me in the right spot. I kind of wanted to grunt. Now, I don't do that. As a priest, that would not be a good look, right? So I refrained from doing that. But when I was watching this scene, I was surprised that the carolers, when they're chasing the Grinch down, they weren't singing some cheesy Christmas song like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. They were singing this 400-year-old hymn, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, the one that has, O tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. And as I was watching it, I was surprised and wondering, I was first wondering, are they going to sing the rest of the verses? And to my surprise, they did, as they were chasing the Grinch, singing, God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. O tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. And those lines right there, being proclaimed to the Grinch, do a great job of explaining the human condition and helps us to get right on getting clear on the Christmas message. Let nothing you dismay. We live in an age where dismay is normal. Like where there's a low-grade anxiety, fear, sadness. Someone again just a few days ago sent me an article. People send me these articles a lot I think the title was called Why American Teens Are So Sad. And the author actually lays out 4 of the reasons that I think he's dead right about them. Social media just lays them out, increased isolation, dead right. But sometimes I think that maybe the sadness, anxiety, fear, especially by young people, sometimes I think maybe it's an appropriate response to growing up in a culture without God. Maybe that's actually an appropriate response. The hymn continues, from Satan's power. What's it like to be in Satan's power? It points to the reality of us being born into darkness. Parts of our soul, if we pause and look in and see like a war within, sometimes maybe our hearts being divided, doing the very thing that I don't want to do. The thing that I do want to do, I end up not doing. The fact that we have an enemy who's actively seeking my destruction. And in his power, meaning to say, like, I could read all the self-help books that I can get my hand on, but it won't get me outside of that power. When we were gone astray, we all know what it's like to be weighed down by sin. Like we know we can make a mess of things. We can make a mess of our lives through our sin. We can make a mess of other people's lives because of our sin. And so comfort and joy are ours because when we were in Satan's power, when we were gone astray, Christ came to save us. You know, I tell the school kids all the time, I say, this is the greatest love story ever told. That God became flesh. Divine love coming to us. Love made visible is the incarnation. Love made visible, which is what ultimately our hearts, that kind of love, that depth of love is what our hearts are ultimately created for. You know, a priest now for 8.5 years. Almost everyone's biggest fear is that someone would see them completely and reject them. Like you wonder if that's true? Like we can do a little thought, or we can do a little game here, and like, let's say that I had the technology to take your thoughts over the course of the last 24 hours and to display them up on a projector here. We have a projector right around the corner, okay? I could bring that out and say I had the technology to put your thoughts over the last 24 hours and to put them up on this screen and to have them go out. Who would stay for that, right? Like, that is no, like that's a universal no. Like, I don't want you to know my thoughts over the last 24 hours. God knows everything about you. He knows not only your actions, he knows your thoughts, and he comes to you. He comes to divine love coming to you. This is the scandal of the incarnation. That he knows you completely and he comes to you. Divine love coming. And this is the message that the Grinch plugs his ears, shakes his head and runs the other way. Now I don't know if the filmmakers of the movie had that in intent, probably not, of the carolers running. But I think it's a great image of the human soul, our souls oftentimes, of not hearing, rejecting, shaking your head, receiving this divine love coming to us, running the other way. And I don't know the reason why perhaps you have been plugging your ears and running the other direction. Right? There's going to be, between yesterday and today, 4,000, 4,500 people coming here to Mass with a plethora of different reasons, and perhaps why they have not fully embraced this good news. So I don't know what it is for you, but what I can tell you, what can help, and that is to look towards the creche. You'll see every creche, this creche here, I think, has 2 shepherds. Every creche, when you have one set up at your home, there'll be a shepherd. And a shepherd for us, like, we don't really understand the cultural context of a shepherd, because nobody, if I were to ask, like, no one raises their hand and say, like, yeah, I've got my cousin Joey out west is a shepherd. No, like, so shepherds, we lose the context that shepherds were seen as dirty, unimportant. They were unwanted. They were scoundrels. You know that shepherds oftentimes were not allowed to enter into the temple? That is written down in the Jewish oral law. It's written down that if you see a shepherd in a pit while you're walking, just keep walking. That they're unworthy to be rescued out of the pit. And we hear the gospel today proclaimed. Who is the gospel first proclaimed to? It's shepherds. Shepherds. You know, it's not uncommon that when I'm out and about at, Standard Market, grocery stores, or Jewel, which, by the way, I oftentimes wonder what people think when they see a priest, like, hey, they let them out, But it's not uncommon that, like, when I'm in the checkout line, that, hey, oh, you're a priest. Yeah, priest. I'm Father Mark. Oh, where's your church? Oh, I'm at Notre Dame in Clarendon Hills. You you should come check us out sometime. And it's not uncommon that someone says right there in the checkout line, oh, Father, like, I'm the kind of guy, if I stepped in the church, I'd get struck by lightning. And we laugh, and oftentimes when they say that, there's a little laugh. But every time there's that laugh, I know there's always something deeper there. There's something there. And I oftentimes say to them, oh, you don't understand. Like, it's actually the complete opposite. That Jesus says he's come for the sick. He's come for those who are in need of a physician. Comes to the shepherds. Divine love coming to them. And perhaps the second thing to look at and to notice when you look at the creche and the nativity scene is to notice the baby. It's as if God knew that we would have a tendency to have proud hearts, that we're proud, to make ourselves as God, to lose the fact that we're creatures, perhaps maybe especially today in the 21st century with technology and AI, of like losing the fact that we're creatures. And so he comes to us, presents himself, comes to us the most vulnerable way possible, as a baby, as if to say, be unguarded, let your walls down, let me save you. I know you, I see you, I see you completely, and I come to you. Divine love coming to you. And so perhaps just to close and ask the question, like, how about us? How about us, like, have we had our ears plugged? Perhaps running from the Christmas message, running from divine love. Receive him. Accept the Christmas message. Surrender your life to the person of Jesus. Conform your life to him. Conform your life to his ways, his commands. As he comes to give us abundant life. God rest, ye merry gentlemen. Let nothing you dismay. Remember, Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. O tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy.